All right, let's dive in. We've got a really profound text in front of us today, the Bhagavad Gita.
Indeed. Ancient wisdom, but incredibly relevant.
And our goal here is a deep dive, but focused. We're looking specifically at Chapter 2. It's often called Sankhya Yoga.
That's right, the yoga of knowledge. And there's a good reason it's sometimes called the essence of Gita.
Yeah, it feels like it just lays out so much of the core philosophy really concisely.
It really does. It sets the stage for everything else.
So we're going to try and unpack that key conversation, between Krishna and Arjuna.
The dialogue that changes everything for Arjuna.
Exactly. Pull out those insights about struggle, duty, inner peace. Hopefully give you something that really sticks.
A framework for understanding.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So you have to picture the scene first. It's dramatic.
Yeah.
Arjuna, this great warrior.
Renowned archer.
He's there on the battlefield, ready for war. But then he looks across, and who does he see?
Not just enemies. He sees his own people. Teachers, cousins, uncles.
Yeah, his kin. And the thought of fighting them, of killing them,
Yeah.
it just, it overwhelms him.
Completely. He basically collapses emotionally, puts down his bow and arrow.
He says he won't fight, calls it a sin. It's this deep despair.
And it's labeled moha in the text, this deep delusion or despondency. It's more than just sadness, though.
So.
It's like a fundamental confusion about who he is, what's real, what his duty truly entails. He's caught up in these temporary relationships and fears.
And that feeling, that kind of being lost and torn, that's something most people can relate to, right? Even if not on a battlefield.
Oh, absolutely. That internal conflict is a deeply human experience, feeling paralyzed by emotion and confusion.
So Krishna sees this. Arjuna's basically given up. What's Krishna's immediate reaction? Is it sympathy?
Not exactly sympathy in the way we might think. It's more like a gentle but very firm rebuke.
A shakeup.
Kind of. He reminds Arjuna of his courage, his reputation as a warrior. He calls his despair unmanly and unbecoming. Essentially, this isn't you, Arjuna. Snap out of it.
Tough love, almost.
You could say that. But it's a callback to his true nature, or at least his known nature as a warrior.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Because Krishna doesn't just stop at a pep talk.
No, not at all. He goes much, much deeper.
He completely shifts the focus, right?
Yeah.
Introduces this huge philosophical idea about the soul.
Exactly. He addresses the root of Arjuna's delusion by talking about the nature of the self, the Atma.
What's the core teaching there?
The absolute core is this. The soul, the Atma, is eternal. It was never born. It will never die.
Wow. Okay.
It's indestructible, ageless, immortal, completely unaffected by the body's experiences.
So it's the total opposite of the physical body.
Precisely. The body is temporary. It's born, it grows, it ages, it dies. But the soul isn't touched by any of that.
So death isn't an end for the soul.
Not at all. According to this teaching, when the body dies, the soul simply moves on. It takes on a new body.
The Gita uses an analogy for this, doesn't it?
It does, a very famous one. Verse 13 puts it beautifully.
How does that go?
It says, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body, from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death.
Like changing clothes.
Exactly like changing clothes. You discard the old, worn-out ones and put on new ones. The person wearing the clothes remains the same.
And verse 20 reinforces that. The soul is never born nor dies.
That's a massive perspective shift.
It's fundamental.
Just thinking, for you listening, if you really took that to heart, that your essential self is eternal, unchanging, how might that change your view of life, of death, of loss?
It potentially dissolves a lot of fear and attachment, doesn't it?
It really does. So, okay, Krishna lays down this incredible foundation.
Yeah.
You are not the body, you are the eternal soul. But Arjuna is still on a battlefield.
Right, the immediate problem hasn't vanished.
So how does Krishna connect this profound truth back to Arjuna's situation, back to the fight?
He brings in the concept of dharma.
Duty.
Yeah.
Okay.
His specific role.
Yes. Arjuna belongs to the Kshatriya Varna, the warrior class. His specific dharma, his duty in this context, is to fight in a righteous war, a dharma yuddha.
So fighting isn't just aggression, it's fulfilling a necessary role for justice, for order.
In this specific context, yes. It's presented as upholding a cosmic or social order against forces causing chaos and injustice. To abandon that duty, especially when the cause is deemed righteous,
Is considered a dharma, unrighteous action.
Exactly. It would be a failure to fulfill his ordained role, leading to dishonor and contributing to societal imbalance.
And what's fascinating here is This idea of dharma isn't just for warriors, is it?
Not at all. That's the crucial point. Everyone has their dharma, their own set of responsibilities and duties based on their nature and station in life.
Like your job, your family responsibilities, your role in the community.
Precisely. It's about understanding what your duties are and performing them with integrity and commitment, without being swayed purely by personal likes or dislikes or fear.
Okay, that makes sense. But if you have this duty, maybe a really difficult one like Arjuna's, how do you actually do it without being crippled by stress or worry about what happens?
Now we get to the how. This leads directly into karma yoga, specifically the principle of nishkama karma.
Nishkama karma, what does that mean exactly?
It means action, karma, performed without desire, nishkama, for the fruits or results of that action.
So you do the work, you perform your duty, but you detach yourself from the outcome.
Yes. You focus on the action itself, doing it to the best of your ability because it's the right thing to do, because it's your dharma, but you relinquish your attachment to what happens as a result.
Easier said than done, I imagine.
Oh, incredibly difficult. It requires immense discipline. But this is where the Gita introduces another key idea. Yoga is skill in action.
Yoga karma sukoshlam. Skill in action. What kind of skill?
It implies performing action with mastery, with focus, with equanimity. It means acting without the usual anxieties and expectations that cloud our judgment and performance. The action itself becomes a form of yoga, a connection.
And there's also Buddha yoga mentioned, the yoga of intellect. How does that fit in?
Buddha yoga is about using your intellect, your discernment, to understand these principles, the nature of the soul, dharma, detachment. It's cultivating the wisdom to see things clearly.
So it's the understanding behind the skillful action.
Exactly. It's the stabilized intelligence that allows you to engage in nishkama karma. By cultivating this clear-seeing intellect, you destroy the moha, the delusion that caused Arjuna's despair in the first place.
It all ties back together. And this whole karma yoga philosophy is summed up so powerfully in that one verse, isn't it? Verse 47.
The cornerstone, really.
Can you remind us what it says?
Your right is only to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action.
Just let that sink in. Your right is to the action, not the result. That cuts against so much of how we usually operate.
It really does. We're so result-oriented.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
think about daily life. If you really focus just on putting in your best effort, doing the right thing.
Without constantly worrying, will I succeed? What will they think? Will I get the reward?
Yeah. Imagine the mental freedom that could bring. Less anxiety, less disappointment, maybe.
That's the promise. Liberation from the emotional roller coaster tied to outcomes you often can't fully control anyway. You control the action, the effort. The results depend on many factors.
So if someone manages to live like this, applying these teachings, what state do they reach? What's the ideal?
The Gita describes this ideal state using the term sthitaprajna.
Sthitaprajna, meaning?
Literally, someone whose wisdom, prajna, is steady, svita. An individual whose intellect is stable, unwavering, firmly established in this understanding.
What does that look like in a person? Are they just emotionless?
Not emotionless, but not ruled by emotions. A sthitaprajna is described as someone who isn't overjoyed by good fortune or depressed by misfortune.
They remain balanced.
Balanced, yes. Undisturbed by the dualities of life, pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat. Their inner peace isn't dependent on external circumstances.
There's another great analogy for this state, isn't there? In verse 70.
Yes, the ocean analogy.
Right, it says something like, as the ocean remains undisturbed despite rivers flowing into it.
Similarly, a person with steady intellect attains peace without being disturbed by sense objects.
That's such a powerful image. The ocean just absorbs everything without changing its fundamental nature.
That's the ideal, to have that inner depth and stability so the constant flow of experiences, desires, and challenges doesn't throw you off balance.
This raises an important question then. For anyone listening, how do you even begin to cultivate that kind of steady wisdom in the middle of, everyday life with all its pressures and distractions?
That is the practical challenge, isn't it? It points towards ongoing practice, self-reflection, conscious effort in applying these principles moment to moment.
So what does this all mean? Let's try and boil down this deep dive into Chapter 2. What are the key takeaways for you listening right now?
Well, first, that core radical idea. The soul is immortal. You are not just this temporary body.
Right. And linked to that, the call to abandon delusion, that moha which causes so much suffering, seeing things clearly.
Then the importance of dharma. Understanding and performing your duty, your responsibilities, with integrity.
And crucially, how to perform that duty, nishkama karma. Act without being attached to the results. Focus on the action itself.
Which leads to yoga is skill in action, and the ideal of the Sith Prajna, the person with a steady, unwavering intellect.
It's really a complete framework, isn't it? From understanding your true nature to how to act in the world and the state of peace you can attain.
Absolutely. These ancient teachings, they offer this timeless guide for navigating our internal battles or anxieties and finding a path to genuine inner peace, still incredibly relevant today.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, building on all this. If the self, your core being, is truly eternal and unchangeable, and if your main task is simply to act, to do your duty without getting hung up on the outcomes, what does that free you up to do, or maybe be, starting right now, today?